Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the recovery plug. What's going on, man? It's another great day, man. Another great day to be alive. Another great day to, be in recovery, right? Yes, sir, it is. And check this out, man. If you would, please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers, for those of us who are still bound down to some sort of struggle that keeps us from moving forward in this toxic life that we live in, man. Yeah, so if you would, please join me in a moment of silence. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All righty, man. Well, now that we got that squared out, check this out, man. Got a little something for you guys today. Got a little something that I wanted to share with y'all. I've talked a little bit about this subject here and there, kind of bits and pieces. But today, I kind of want to dig in a little bit into what we in the Buddhist practice call the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is one of the foundational root practices that Buddhists do on the daily. This is a way of living. You know what I mean? This is a way of living. This is a way of not only physically living, but mentally living. In other words, this is a way to live that, this is just my personal opinion, you know what I mean? That you live in a way that you're purifying yourself mentally and physically through these practices. You know what I'm saying? And for me, man, that, for somebody who's in recovery and who's been, who's struggled for many, many years with with a bunch of, trauma, and and everything from childhood trauma to to adult things like my drug addiction and my the mental thought process of depression and suicidal thoughts and just the dealing with grief and just anger and those types of things. You know what I'm saying? It's just a mixture of a bunch of things, right? A bunch of quote unquote trauma, of all kinds, of all sorts, of all capacities and degrees, right? But so what I want to do, man, is I want to show you guys one of the things that I personally use. This is something that I do personally in my recovery. So I figured, that's one of the things that I do on my channel is I share things that I either experience firsthand or read firsthand or know from someone else that, okay, this is to be true because I know this person and I know that this person lived this way and he's allowing me or she's allowing me to share that story, right? And those are the kind of my guidelines, I guess, of the things that I talk about on my channel, and because I don't, my whole purpose here is to feed a message that will help somebody in some capacity of their life to better their life in a spiritual and good karmic sense. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, that's the meat and potatoes, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but check this out, man. And just one more thing. You don't have to be a Buddhist, man, to understand these things. And you're going to find out that these are things that you're probably already doing, some of them. You know what I mean? And how crazy it is that, wow, I've always been doing Buddhist practices, and you have no idea, man. And it correlates really with with Christian perspectives, a little bit of Islam. I mean, just a little bit of Hindu. The Hindus really relates to this. Hare Krishna. It's just a bunch of different religious sects. But for the most part, Buddhism is a path of morality, a path of meditation, and a path of wisdom. Those are the three key things that you're going to be getting in any part of the practice that you do. Know that you're going to be refining those areas of your life. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's get down to this thing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you it's called the Eightfold Path. Okay, there's the Four Noble Truths and then the Eightfold Paths. Okay, so the Four Noble Truth is the basic Buddhism foundation, and then to do these four things, you have to do these 8 things. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that. So anyway, the Eightfold Path, let me get these glasses on, man, because I can't read a darn thing without these, man. But you know, that's what happens when you get older, you know what I'm saying? And in the Buddhist, you know, in Buddhism, we call that impermanence. You know what I mean? Nothing lasts forever. Everything is of impermanence in this world, and so yeah, including eyesight. But anyway, let me put these on so it'll assist me, right? Check this out. Okay, the Eightfold Path is we found that it is useful to make inquiry and investigation a normal part of our everyday routine, especially when we are feeling uncomfortable emotions or facing tough decisions. We can take a moment to pause and sit with what we're experiencing, identify it, and simply allow it to be with compassion and without judgment. Then use the Eightfold Path as a guide to go inward and forward by asking ourselves, how can I apply the Eightfold Path? It can also be beneficial to use the different sections of the Eightfold Path as an end-of-day reflection. And check this out, man. The Eightfold Path isn't something that you have to do in levels, dude. You know what I mean? This is not something that you do the first one and then, okay, now I got to do the second. No, this is something that you're going to find is going to be jumping. You can be doing the first one on one in one area, and then something 2 hours later you're working on the 8th one because something else in your life came up. You know what I mean? These Eightfold Paths, you're going to see that will mesh really well with your daily routine and what we in the Buddhism, you know, talk about the suffering of everyday life, because ultimately that's the life we live. We live a life of suffering of many different levels. You know what I'm saying? Even in joy, there's suffering. You know what I'm saying? We'll get into that later on or something, or maybe another day. But let me move on here. Okay, so the very first one that is down for the Eightfold Path is wise understanding. Okay, and the next one is wise intention. Okay, where's it? Okay, the next one is wise speech. Let me fix this computer here real quick, because it really is kind of messing me up here. Give me just a second. Okay. Yeah. So the first one was the wise understanding. Next one was the right thought, right intention. Then it's right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right contemplation or right concentration, right? So with that being said, we'll go back here to this. We're going to get into one or two of those because it's a lot of it's a lot of things to cover. You know what I'm saying? You can't just explain them all in one sitting or whatever. But so here we go. Let me see. Did I just pass it? Okay. Alrighty, let's go. Okay, as we engage in the world rather than withdraw from it, we can use wise understanding to live without clinging, attachment, or craving, paying attention to our actions, and as a result of those actions, we can begin to change our choices if we intend to act in ways that have positive results. And if we are aware of the true intention and nature of our actions, then we'll see better results, better meaning, less suffering, and less harm. The word karma in Sanskrit translates to what actions create. Any intentional act, mental, verbal, physical, is a kind of karma. Skillful or wise actions, strengths, or sense of balance, kindness, compassion, loving, and equanimity. When we act unskillfully and unwisely, when we steal, lie, take advantage of somebody else, or cause intentional harm based on our own cravings or delusions, and it creates an immediate sense of imbalance. It fights with our intentions to avoid harming others. Karma is determined by our intention and applies to any volition or purposeful action. The result of the volition actions may be an increase in our happiness or may lead to additional suffering. There is no actor, part, or act from action. There is no action without intention. And so it is thinking of a situation in your life that is causing confusion or unease. What is the truth of the situation? Are you seeing clearly, or are you getting lost in judgment, taking things personally in stories you're telling yourself, or repeating past messages you've internalized? Is your vision clouded by greed, hatred, confusion, clinging, attachment, or craving, and how? In what situations and parts of your life do you have the most difficult separating wants from needs? Are there areas in your relationship where the drive to get what you desire overshadows any other consideration? Has this changed since you began to continue your practice? And well, let me go on to see what it talks about. In that first part of wise understanding, wise understanding is, to me, and I think this is just it kind of sums up what it really means to wise understanding. Wise understanding is the actions that you're taking to the cause of the suffering in your life. And this, when I say suffering, don't think that it's, I'm hurt, I broke my arm, now I'm suffering. No, that's part of it. That's one suffering. But suffering in this is more, it gets deeper into a sense that you're talking about the wants. We're human beings. We live our daily lives through our sensory organs. In other words, we live through seeing, touching, hearing, feeling, tasting, and mentally being aware, right? So this is a way that we live, and we crave things. We want things, or we don't want things. You know what I mean? So both of those is a suffering. When you're wanting a new car, you're suffering because you don't have this thing that you want. You know what I'm saying? If you're hungover and you're trying to get to work, you don't feel good, you don't want to go to work, you're suffering because of an action that you did. You know what I'm saying? So what I like about this is this allows you, and this actually, it really makes you dig into the cause and effect of your actions. You know what I mean? It brings the Hermetic laws up to the forefront, man. You know what I mean? And it says, okay, well, if something swings to the right, well, guess what? It's going to swing to the left just the same. You know what I'm saying? So if you do something, if your actions are of dark and negative intent, then guess what? The result is going to be. It's not going to be of positive and great faith. You know what I'm saying? That's never that's like mixing oil and water. You know what I mean? And this is, I think, where a lot of people kind of get that facade of delusion in their mental capacity, that they think that, hey, you know what? If nobody sees me, then hey, you know what? It's cool. I can do this or I can do that. But the natural laws of cause and effect, my brothers and sisters, is a real deal. You know what I'm saying? It's a real deal, and it stings any action that you do in your life. I don't care what it is. If you do it in a dark or negative way, then that's exactly what you're going to get out of it. And people wonder why they're sitting there and, man, I can't, things don't change for me. I'm always, you know, I'm always in this bad situation. You know what I mean? But in this wise understanding and wise intention, it's allowing you to bring that up and dissect it. You know what I'm saying? And say, okay, well, then why? You know, and through personal experience, I'm going to tell you right here that 99% of the time when you're struggling through any type of trauma, depression, anger, drug addiction, whatever it is, I don't care what the problem is, 99% of the time, the answer to your problem is in the problem. You know what I'm saying? That's usually where it is. You know what I mean? And for most of us, we tend to look for the answers outside of us. You know what I mean? And that, what in the Buddhist tradition, how to polish up the wise understanding and the wise speech and all those things, all those 8 things that I mentioned, is through meditation and through wisdom. And what that means is it's a study, it's a practice, it's something that you have to do on a repetitive basis to gain knowledge and wisdom of both intellect and spiritual and of good karmic energy, so that your reaction to those sufferings that come up in your daily life are, you deal with it in that way. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to deal with it. I mean, I'll just give you myself, for example. If anything happened in my life and I was feeling this sad way, depressed way, grief way, anger way, whatever feeling came up, the first thing I knew how to do was to consume. You know what I mean? First thing I did was either I was going to do me a line of coke, I was going to smoke me a bowl or of something, and, you know, I'm good. You know what I mean? I can react to the day accordingly. But usually, it never resulted in anything positive. You know what I'm saying? It did, because it doesn't work like that. Those are not the natural laws of cause and effect. The natural laws of cause and effect is, if you do bad, guess what? Bad happens. Do you know what I mean? Now, if you practice good karmic, divine spirituality things, then guess what's going to happen? That's exactly what you're going to get back in your life, man. And that is what I've put the boots on and walked the walk. I don't just talk the talk. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like about this practice, about this spiritual practice in Buddhism. For me, it has worked. It allows me to maneuver my life in a way that I could understand, that I could bring to the forefront and deal with it, and know that I'm doing something positive, that I'm doing something spiritual, that I'm doing something that's connected to this divine energy that's out there wherever it is. And just me personally, I believe that's the divine matrix, man. You know what I'm saying? That's just my belief. You know what I mean? I believe that we're all connected in that some way, shape, or form. And it gets a little deep, you know, because it's a connection between self, Mother Earth, and the universe. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but it's good stuff, man. And it's And you know what I really like about that whole situation is that the things that these Buddhist monks, thousands and thousands of years ago, up in the mountains of Tibet or somewhere, and in India, they knew these things, and not only them, but the Toltecs. The Toltecs have the Cuatro Acuerdos that they use just the same, man, like the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. And then the Native Americans also have that connection. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that the ancient people knew that science of today is now just figuring out. Hey, man, these people, they were up to something. They understood something that we're just now, getting the answers to, you know what I'm saying? Like okay, yeah, it does work like that. You know what I mean? And go figure, you know what I'm saying? Go figure that, these teachings they work. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I don't want to get all too deep into the whole philosophical type thing of it, but it's just that, you know what I mean? It's learning how to live your life a certain way, and in a way of spiritual and divine karmic energy, man. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do that, you're allowing yourself to lift the lids of the capacity of your mental thought process. You know what I'm saying? When you're able to do that and feed yourself all this wisdom and knowledge from other people, you know what I mean? Because ultimately that's us. That's the only way for us to evolve, is we learn the things that we've learned, we've adapted, and everything that we've ever gotten in our lives is through the mental thought process of someone else. You know what I mean? So it to me, it's just like the more you feed yourself this stuff, the more that your wisdom and divine karmic capacity will allow you to react to the sufferings of the daily life in a way that helps you, that allows you to evolve with the suffering and the joy and whatever else comes with that. You know what I'm saying? Because, unless we're gonna be a hermit in a cave for many, many years, it's going to be hard for us to reel in nirvana and enlightenment just the way the Buddha did, because it's possible to do that. You know what I mean? It's possible for someone to attain that enlightenment, but it takes many, many years of practice, and it takes seclusion, meditation, and just, a whole lot more things. But for us who we live in this world and in the Buddhist tradition, it's called samsara. It's a world of birth, life, and death, and suffering and sickness. You know what I'm saying? And that's the life we live in. So for us, it's a little tougher for us to live a life of enlightenment, because we have so many things that we're having to fend off in the cravings of a human being. You know what I mean? Everybody wants something, and some things, there's always something that's not right in your life. But you know what I mean? My whole point here is that when you gather the wisdom and the knowledge of how to live a certain way, in a positive and good karmic divine way, it in turn there allows you to react to all that suffering in exactly the same way, not in a dark and negative way, in a dark, negative, and evil way, because when you react to things in that black ball type thing, that's exactly where you're going to stay, in that black ball, man. And the whole point of being here as a human being on this earth is to evolve. And the only way we can evolve is by helping out the tribe. You know what I'm saying? We got to help each other out. We got to do things for the love of the rest of the human race, because, if we stay secluded to the I, guess what, man? Everything's of impermanence in this world, and eventually eyes won't be here anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it gets a little deeper, but maybe another day we'll dig in. But I just wanted to kind of, throw a little bit something out there today, just to, to communicate, man, and hopefully that somebody is needed to hear an encouraging word. You know what I mean? That there's ways to move past adversity, man. There's ways to move past adversity, and this is just one of them. You know what I'm saying? This is just one of them. This is just a little bit of insight, a little bit of food for thought, and hopefully it'll help you out, man. And maybe on the next video you'll catch something different. You know what I'm saying? And but yeah, I just wanted to get that out there today, and hopefully that it helps somebody else out, man. Because ultimately that's the whole point of doing these videos for me, is to help out my fellow brothers and sisters, man, and hopefully that my karmic energies and divine way flows into you guys, and you guys get that same presence and that same feeling, man, so that you could move past and forward through the everyday suffering. You know what I'm saying? Because check this out, man. If you could please at this time give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Just know that when you do hit that subscribe button, man, it don't cost you a thing. Don't cost you a thing at all. But you know what? You'll be helping out another veteran, man, another homeless person, another person dealing with PTSDs, childhood traumatic experiences, drug addiction, alcoholism, depression, grief, suicidal thoughts, anger issues, all those types of things, my friends. Because you know what, man? At one point in time in my life, I dealt with all of those things, man. And guess what, man? I know a way out. And my way out could be your way out. So anyway, man, I guess until the next time, man, on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.